What's up guys, hope you're all doing well. Today we're starting the challenge of getting a hole-in-one on every single possible hole in Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64. Whether you've played golf on screen or in real life, you know how insanely precise or downright lucky you have to be to get a hole-in-one. Getting a shot close enough for a simple putt is one thing, but actually getting your ball to fall just right into that tiny cup on your first stroke is an entirely different story. The sheer amount of variables from the ball's trajectory, yardage compared to your club, the speed and direction of the wind, the power and accuracy meter, break on the green, if it's below or above your player, to the exact percentage of your hit that's utilized, all of these things combine to make getting a hole-in-one feel seemingly impossible. We'll be going experimental into the training mode to see all of what it takes. Today we are tackling the first 9 holes of that challenge. We're going to move through all of the characters for a nice variety of footage until we have to use the heaviest hitters for the longest holes. First on our list is hole 2 on Toad Highlands, a 161-yard par 3 with the hole resting 11 yards below where we're standing. Plum's 2-iron looks like the best club for the job, with a max capacity of 165 yards, not considering any course factors like terrain or wind. You'd like to think this is as simple as aiming the right way and hitting your power and accuracy notches flush for a nice shot complement, but it's not so simple. As far as aiming goes, you can notch over in the smallest possible increments with the D-pad left or right, but you'll virtually always need to do more than just that. Sometimes you realize the most accurate shot in your current setup or conditions would not result in a hole-in-one, even if it gets insanely close, so that's when a little more experimentation has to take place. Since the ball was going just a bit too fast and too far with full hits, I put 1 mile/hour wind into our face because that's all it might take, along with several practice strokes to finally hit our first hole-in-one.
Nice shot! Wow!
For the second one on the list, we're using someone I consider one of the more forgettable characters in Mario Golf, Charlie. He hits it just a few yards further and has a slight fade, which means his ball path moves a bit left to right. Next hole we're going for is hole 6 on Toad Highlands, 138-yard par 3 with the hole resting 17 yards below us. We'll be using the 5-iron with a range of 140 yards. Things start out with a bit of wind in our face, which is going to help hold the ball up to drop just in time. The right amount of wind ends up being 3 miles/hour. A little adjustment to the left and hit both meters flush for the second hole-in-one. It honestly took less than 5 minutes, which made it by far the fastest. I wish I could say the same about the rest.
Nice shot!
For our third hole-in-one, we're using Peach. She has a straight flight path with just a bit more range than Charlie. This will take place on hole 13 of Toad Highlands, 165-yard par 3. This one's a little trickier since it's a bit further, plus the green is 6 yards above us, so the angle to the hole isn't as forgiving. With Peach hitting a straight ball, just try to line it up with a flush, nice shot. Even with a bit of wind at our back, and putting our contact point at the very bottom of the ball for maximum loft, the ball still wasn't making it through the rough, so I inched up the wind from 5 to 8 to eventually 10 miles/hour, and that's when we got ourselves the third hole-in-one.
Nice shot!
But I did feel a bit dirty about so much wind aid. At least to start things out, I don't want to use that much, so I did it again with the next club up, which gives us even less loft and makes the shot that much harder.
Excellent! Nice shot! Wow!
For number 4, we're using Baby Mario, who hits just a bit further than Peach and has a slight draw. We have another tricky par 3 on hole 17 of Toad Highlands. It's 155 yards out and 5 yards above us. And the green has a wicked break, so this ball has to make its entrance onto this slope in just the right way for it to find the cup. We're using the 3-iron with its max range of 161 yards. This was honestly pretty tricky. This is where we just have to keep toying with how this ball is supposed to land just right on the green, along with what kind of power and accuracy notches will work to result in just the right kind of hit. A mix of nice shots get us pretty close, but what it ends up needing is the slightest of mishit on the right notch in order for the ball to come in with just the right amount of speed. After barely missing a couple times in a row, we get to make our final adjustment before our 4th hole-in-one.
Excellent.
For number 5, we'll be using Luigi, who has a fade on his ball and hits a bit further than Baby Mario. Staying in line with par 3s for now, we're moving on to Koopa Park, the next course. Hole 4 is a somewhat long par 3 of 169 yards, plus it's 11 yards up from where we are standing. For the first 10 minutes, I was playing around with the 2-iron range of 175 yards to get more loft, along with more wind. Since everything has to be perfect, including your speed, you can often get that feeling of so close yet so far. With a challenge so precise, hitting the pin is the consolation prize. You can see what happens at 15 miles per hour, hitting underneath the ball. Our perfect aim comes in a bit too hot and results in a pin shot. You gotta love how Mario Golf has a cameo from the Super Mario 64 monkey for pin shots. It's pretty random and hilarious. Speaking of precision though, at 13 miles per hour we come up just a bit short. Could it be that we're just 1 mile per hour away from a hole-in-one? And sure enough, the 14 mile per hour wind does the trick. But how about with minimal wind? Clubbing up to the 4-wood makes this an even tougher shot, and I mean borderline impossible, because despite using the smallest increments to move left and right, Luigi's 4-wood can get close, very close, but actually won't find the hole on its own. In fact, we actually hit the edge of the cup, but the ball isn't dropping in. So with 1 mile per hour of wind into our face, we try again. Hitting both notches together perfectly with the 1 mile per hour of wind on just the right line results in a toilet flush hole-in-one. For number 6, we'll use Yoshi. He has a straight ball path and hits just a bit further than Luigi. Hole 8 of Koopa Park is a 140-yard par 3. It's a much more mild green and not quite as challenging as the last couple, but it doesn't come to us right away. Once we're lined up, it's not too hard to get close, and with only the slightest wind at our back, we can get very close, but rolling in that cup proves to be very tricky. In fact, we hit with the 5-iron with its range of 152 yards and the slight wind aid for several minutes before realizing it's just not really cooperating. The ball just doesn't want to find the cup despite the adjustments. So we decided to club up to a 162-yard 4-iron to hit the ball further while altering the wind to blow toward us, hoping that will give it a more favorable roll at the cup. After several tries and getting close, we finally have it perfectly lined up, hit both notches to get our 6th hole-in-one.
Nice shot!
Speaking of holes that just won't cooperate, we have 3 coming up in a row. Next we're using Sunny on hole 13 of Koopa Park. He has a slight draw and hits a bit further than Yoshi. This 174-yard par 3 and a green 8 yards below us proved to be the definition of so close yet so far. Within just a few minutes, with a slight wind, Sunny's 180-yard 3-iron was all over it, doing everything aside from going in the cup. Early shots had us barely missing it. When you end up adjusting for the break of the green and hit a flush nice shot, just to be right on the rim, it's a full shot can't get you there. It makes you realize it's back to the drawing board. We can get exceptionally close, but if a full 3-iron can't make it there, we have to alter the wind, club, or our point of contact on the ball. 2-mile-per-hour wind moved the ball too quickly to the cup. 1-mile-per-hour wind left us just an inch short of our target. Like I said, so close, yet so far. After quite a bit of messing around with clubbing up to the 2-iron and altering the wind, this also wasn't getting the job done. We end up having to go back to the 3-iron, realizing the flight path with a missed second notch of our swing comes in at the right speed. So just had to keep messing with attempts to hit it just the right way, and finally, after almost 18 minutes, we have our 7th hole-in-one. For our 8th one, we will use Wario. He hits a bit further than Sunny, but has a pretty severe low fade for his ball path. Next hole to go after is 16 on Koopa Park, a 154-yard par 3 with the green 22 yards below us. When starting out each hole, I find myself fairly positive, but sometimes you'll have that optimism beaten out of your system over the stretch of 30 plus minutes, which is what happened here. It had such a promising start too, getting close with a couple of missed notches with our 142-yard 7-iron. With the green so far below us, it gives the ball more time to carry even further. Through so many attempts, it seemed the ball could just not be perfectly lined up with the current conditions. I was trying to get the speed right, and even when it seemed decent, it would just be a bit too far left or too far right, even with the slightest of adjustments. I started hitting underneath the ball to give it more loft and hoped that that would slow it down ever so slightly. After 15 minutes of getting close, I switched to the power setting of the lesser club, the 8-iron. A couple of missed notches get us close. So after trying this for several minutes, again getting close but not falling, I actually got bailed out of this challenge in the least likely way possible. After trying to stick with consistent setups and making slight adjustments, I had a stroke that wasn't going as planned, so spur of the moment, I pushed up on the joystick to put the contact at the top of the ball, and somehow that resulted in the following hole-in-one. You probably heard the expression, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I wish I could say that's the only hole on the list to take over 30 minutes, but here comes the next, with Harry going after our 9th hole-in-one. Harry hits it a bit further than Wario, but has a high draw for his flight path. Excitingly, we're actually moving on to the 3rd course in the game to finish part 1. Hole 2 on Shy Guy Desert is a 153-yard par 3. The ball is 19 yards below us, so I tried to take what we learned from the last hole and move the contact point to the top of the ball, hoping that would show us a decent roll early on. Using the 124-yard 9-iron is getting us close, and you know the deal at this point. Slight adjustments left and right, experimenting with missing the first and or second notches, seeing which things work to get us the right path toward the hole. A couple of missed notches had us only 1 foot short of the hole. After quite a while, I ended up trying the power mode of the pitching wedge, which hits 116 yards, and of course, typical, we can get close, but it's just not going in. To boil things down, after a lot of close misses, what the shot ended up needing was the most specifically pointed 1 mile per hour of wind. You can see we missed to the left, and then again, barely to the right. After pointing the wind top right in between the 2 near misses, we can finally get out of here with our 9th hole-in-one. Overall guys, just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Let me know what are some of your best and craziest Mario golf shots that you can remember. Look forward to seeing you for part 2 of all possible hole-in-ones in Mario Golf and other videos in the pipeline. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.